What's going on, Fourth and Inches podcast listeners? You got Kev and Steve. What's up, Kev?
What's going on, Stevie P? What's up, listeners out there? We didn't really get into any buy lows and sell highs yesterday. Got taken kind of late, so we figured we'd pick it up today.
Yeah, guys. So we got some good names we're going to talk about today. So we're going to get right to it. So me and Kev were talking about it, and the first guy I want to talk about is Doug Martin. Doug Martin actually didn't have the greatest of games this week. He ended up scoring a touchdown, which padded his stats a little bit. So
them 2-point conversions always come in handy.
You are not lying. But yeah, so his stat line for this week was actually 14 for 53 and a touch. Like Kev said, he also had that 2-point conversion, which gave him a little bit. And if you're an owner of Doug Martin, you might have been a little bit worried until that touchdown because, he wasn't really doing much on the ground. They got blown out in the first half, so it kind of was like, ooh, God, I don't even know if they're going to run the ball anymore. So maybe that owner of Doug Martin is, scared a little bit and wants to sell, and if they're selling, I'm buying.
I totally agree. Anybody who's listened to the podcast since, has known that I am huge on the Tampa Bay running back situation. I now in 3 leagues. Last year I had Jacquizz Rodgers. I had Doug Martin, and then I picked up Jacquizz when Doug Martin got suspended or got hurt, whatever it was last year, and Jacquizz played well, and I'm starting to learn that I like that situation when you can grab a running back that's probably going to be a number one guy for the team, and then grab the handcuff that when he comes in is going to fill in nicely. Like, I'm big on the DeMarco Derrick Henry kind of combination. I like that. I love Doug Martin. So, I totally agree. I own him in 3 leagues, and I'm not selling him at all.
I hear that.
So if you can buy him, buy him. But yeah, I'm not. Me personally, I'm not selling.
I hear that. Watching the game tape up with Doug, I noticed he had 2 drops in the game, so he actually could have had a bigger game. One of the drops was not really his fault. It was kind of, what's his name? Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of put it out a little bit far from him, so he had to kind of reach for it. It hit his hand, so, anybody that knows football, if it hits your hand, you're supposed to catch it. But it was kind of a stretch for him. The other one hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. But I still really liked what I saw. He saw holes and he hit them, and he looks explosive this year. So, like we said, if you can get him, get him.
I totally agree.
All right, Kev, you're next guy?
Another guy I'm going to say, me and Steve go through this. We basically just bring up the names that are constantly being talked about, and we feel like we're going to give our opinion on how we do. So, Adrian Peterson. Now, if you listen to us, this last week and even yesterday, we love AP. If you think that AP is this is going to be his best game, and you want to capitalize on that and sell him at his highest point right now, feel free. He's definitely right now sell high because people probably saw that and said, "Oh, he's back. He's the old AP. Here we go again." And me personally, I'm not selling AP, but like I said, if you think that you have AP on your roster and you think that this is going to be his best game and he's not going to do this, going forward, then AP is definitely a guy you could probably sell high for right now.
I agree. I have AP also as a sell high. The reason being not that I don't like AP. I think AP is definitely a wide receiver 2 rest of season at the very least. But the reason I think if you're going to sell high on him, it is now. He had probably his best game that he's going to have. Tampa Bay really was banged up coming into this game. They were without one of their starting linebackers. They were out with, one of their corners, two of their defensive linemen. They're just missing a lot of pieces in that defense. And, to me, it just was one of those games where they got steamrolled by a team that, was on a high of getting AP and kind of knew, that he wasn't done. And as soon as they saw the way he was running, the whole team just fueled off of the way he was running. And, I kind of feel like it's going to be his biggest game of the season this week. So if you can sell a guy on his biggest game, and you're getting really good value for him, and I'm not saying sell him for anything. I'm saying sell him for, if somebody's going to offer you exactly. If somebody's going to offer you Doug Martin and a wide receiver for AP, I would take that all day.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree. I'm look at your team, and if your wide receiver situation isn't good, you're getting AP probably in the 8th or 9th round. So if your wide receiver situation isn't that good, and you wind up having two higher end running backs right now, like maybe in the first round you drafted Le'Veon, and then the second round you got
Fournette.
Somehow Fournette fell to you into the third round or second round.
Yeah, Fournette, Gurley, any of those big names.
What's that?
Yeah, Fournette, Gurley, any of those big names.
Yeah, you're pretty set at running back if that's the case. So maybe you just use AP right now and get what you can get for him, and pull in another wide receiver that can help you out. Especially can you imagine if you went Le'Veon, Gurley, and then Fournette in the first 3 rounds? You're sitting so pretty right now.
Oh, I did.
You have,
I have my work league. Yeah, I actually had that exact what you're talking about. I had the first pick in the draft. I had Fournette. I got him in 3. I got Le'Veon Bell with the first overall pick because everybody knows I love Le'Veon. And then very next pick I got Gurley and Leonard Fournette, and I am 5-1 in that league. So I
was going to say, I don't think the fact that you even lost. I mean, I know I know Le'Veon started off slow, so that's probably why. But,
yeah.
If you have AP in that league as well, it's a perfect sell opportunity because you're so steady. You're set at running back.
Yep.
You go out and can probably offer AP right now for a second, number 2 wide receiver, or a number 1 wide receiver that isn't performing as well. Maybe a Brandon Cooks or something like that, and possibly get that off.
I hear that. I definitely agree. So the next guy I want to talk about is Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, they might actually sit him out one more week, which is kind of what I'm hoping they do. And if they do,
fully healthy.
Yeah, and if they do, I'm buying. I love Stefon Diggs' rest of season schedule. Just looking at it, I'll go over it real quick with you guys. This week he's got Baltimore, so if they sit him against Baltimore, I'd be happy with that. But then coming up, he's got Cleveland, a bye week. He's got Washington. He's got the Rams, Detroit, Atlanta, Carolina, Cincinnati, and Green Bay. Green Bay in the Super Bowl championship with the injuries that they have. Literally, they don't have a starting corner. They lost everyone. Over the weekend against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. If you guys watched the game, all their corners are hurt.
They got their top 4 corners are hurt.
Yeah, so I love Stefon Diggs rest of season, and if you can get him, you probably get him really cheap, and he's definitely somebody I'm buying if people are selling.
Yeah, definitely. We both are high on Stefon Diggs. I bought Stefon Diggs from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a low price, but I got Stefon Diggs in a couple leagues. I'm very high on him, and in both of my leagues that I have him, I'm kind of okay, and I wouldn't mind him sitting out for another week to get 100% healthy. But definitely, if you can buy low on Stefon Diggs right now, definitely agree.
Yeah, guys.
Another guy I would sell high. You could sell high on probably right now is his teammate Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
Jerick McKinnon's been on fire these last 2 weeks. He had the big run in that Monday night game against, who was it, Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was against Chicago. In that big run against Chicago, and then this game he went off in this game.
Yeah.
Latavius Murray doesn't look like he's even, he just, his role is almost diminishing by the game. So, right now Jerick McKinnon is obviously a hot hand, and he's performed well the last couple of weeks. And if you can turn around and, sell high on Jerick McKinnon and maybe get the same thing with AP, maybe a number 2 wide receiver, you may not have even drafted Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice value for somebody that you didn't draft, especially if you're in the same predicament where you got 2 good running backs and you're kind of set there,
Yeah, I hear that. For me, I'm not selling Jerick McKinnon, only because if you guys listen to the podcast this weekend, I was telling you guys how much I loved him this weekend, and I really just love him rest of the season, if I'm being honest. To me, he's the best back there, and it's not close. And I just read you guys the schedule for Minnesota. He's got a really nice schedule coming up, and I definitely think you can put him in your flex position every single week because, like Kev said, you got him for nothing. You didn't draft him. You should have a good team around him, and if you can throw Jerick McKinnon in your flex every week, I love that. So he's probably somebody that I'm keeping. Everybody's for sale at a certain price, but right now his price is pretty high, and I don't know what people are trying to, willing to give up. But if you can get something crazy for him, then I would trade him. But other than that, I'm keeping him as a flex option every single week.
Gotcha.
Yep, and then so my next guy I want to talk about real quick is Randall Cobb. We saw the game this weekend. Aaron Rodgers is done. Without Rodgers, I don't really like Cobb. If you really think about it, the way Brett Huntley looked in this game, he was looking to the outside receivers. He didn't really look at Cobb almost at all. I think Cobb had three targets, and they caught 2 of them for 54 yards. 24 yards or something like that. But he didn't really look for him. Randall Cobb is the slot guy. I kind of feel like Brett Hundley would look, if he's going to look over the middle of the field, Martellus Bennett is a bigger target, so he's going to see more of the catches in the middle area of the field. So if you can find something better on the waiver wire, I would be looking for Randall Cobb, to replace Randall Cobb.
I agree. What's up? My next guy I want to talk about is Matt Ryan. I'll just throw a couple names out there quarterback-wise right now because this is mainly instituted for people who lost Rodgers this week who may be able to use some of the other pieces to pick up a nice filling guy. So a couple of the guys me and Steve talked about earlier were Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston. Both of those guys are kind of on a down slope right now. Matt Ryan he almost seems like he's kind of going through a Super Bowl hangover. Like the Julio Jones, for some reason, it just seems like Julio Jones isn't being as targeted as much this year as he has in the past. And I know he's had the injury, so it could be that. But definitely, I think Matt Ryan will be turning it around. Like I said, I think they just need to get Julio Jones more involved in order for that to happen, and I think it'll start to happen. I don't think that if you watch those games, you looking as a football person, you're going to get your best player involved. If you see that he's not getting involved, then you're losing. Mm-hmm. So I think they have to eventually turn that around, and I think they do. And Jameis just had a bad week. He was hurt. And he really has been kind of up and down. His accuracy hasn't been good, but Jameis has a very good weapons around him, and I think he'll get it together. And right now, he's probably a guy you can buy low on because, like I said, he got hurt in his last game. He hasn't been great this season. So if you're an Aaron Rodgers guy that lost Rodgers and, maybe you got a couple extra pieces you can, dish off to pick up one of these quarterbacks, those are both guys right now you could probably get for a cheaper price.
Yeah, I definitely agree. No need to really elaborate on that. I feel the same way Kev does. If you can get either one of those guys, I think they're going to help you in the long run. So with talking with Matt Ryan, one of my buy guys is Julio. Julio, he hasn't been killing you. I mean, he's basically been getting you low-end double-digit numbers, so he's getting you like 12s, 13s in a PPR scoring. He's not completely killing you. He's not, really helping you all that much. So, if somebody is willing to sell Julio for, basically what his production has been this year, I'm buying. Because, Julio is a top, to me, 2 wide receiver in the league. And with the way that the Falcons have been losing the past 2 games, I think they have to realize, listen, we're going to have to start stretching the field using Julio and start giving him the ball in space and figuring out ways to put the ball in his hands, because when we do that, we win. So, I can see big games coming for Julio really, really soon.
Totally agree. The same thing, pretty much what I just said with Matt Ryan. I think they have to turn it around. So, I think that Julio is definitely a guy that is going to, wind up getting involved a whole lot more in the offense, because he really hasn't been these last few games. And he's been hurt, before this, but now I think he's going to turn it around.
Yeah,
definitely, because as he gets healthier, it'll get him more involved. Another guy I want to talk about as a sell high would be Mark Ingram. Me as personally, I probably wouldn't sell Mark Ingram right now based on how he was looking in this game. He got a lot of opportunities, a lot of rushes, a lot of yards, and 2 touchdowns in the game. But this, in the same sense as AP, could be his best game.
Yeah.
So if at this point you think that this is going to be his best game, you got to capitalize on it and try to sell high on him. And so I think Mark Ingram is probably another sell high candidate.
Yeah. If you can get, like I said, if anybody's for sale, if you're getting the right price, if you have a running back that you have a wide receiver, you have like we said before, good running backs. You probably could have gotten Mark Ingram in, especially after the AP news, him going to the Saints. You probably could have got him in the 5th round. So hopefully you drafted some pretty good running backs before him. If you didn't, I kind of feel like you're stuck. If not, Mark Ingram, you could get really good value for with a guy who, maybe lost, is worried about Zeke or something like that. Getting Ingram, could really help his team, and maybe he'll sell him for maybe Julio. If you can do Mark Ingram for Julio Jones, I would do that all day. So, something to.
If somebody's going to trade Julio for Mark Ingram, they're losing their mind. They're out of their mind.
Yep. So I would definitely, if you can get a trade off like that, especially with Mark's big game, I would definitely try something like that. I'm going to actually throw out 3 names, Kev, and you kind of tell me which guy of the 3 you're buying highest on. So I got Zeke, I got Joe Mixon, and T.Y. Hilton. What guy of those 3 do you really feel like, I want this guy on my team, moving forward?
If I had to pick one of those, I would probably pick T.Y., knowing that Luck's coming back. Zeke, the thing with Zeke is not knowing what's going to happen moving forward. They could turn around. And I haven't really read into this. I'm kind of tired of the drama, so I kind of am trying to stay away from the drama and focus on the football side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what's going to happen with Zeke. And if he winds up somehow getting suspended, and who knows, let's say that suspension comes down in week 8, and you lose him for week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's the end of your season and into the fantasy playoffs. So Zeke's kind of a guy I don't think I wouldn't buy. I would definitely take him on my team, no doubt, especially if it was a keeper league. But I don't know how low I'm buying, how high I'm, how low or high I'm buying. Joe Mixon, I have to kind of see it first. I really think that Cincinnati needs to get their act together and understand that Jeremy Hill stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard is a good 3rd down back. Give this guy the opportunity. You drafted him in the 2nd round. Do what you got to do. See what the guy has to offer. You don't suspend a guy that you're not even going to put out on the field. But a minimal amount of snaps. So I have to see it first with Mixon. Ty, this guy's been a top 10 receiver, year in, year out with Andrew Luck. Right now, I think he's in. I don't know where his exact ranking is right now, but I'm pretty sure he's still in the top 20 right now.
Yeah.
And when Luck comes back, I think Ty just starts going off. So if I had to pick one of those three, I would pick Ty.
Yeah, Ty is actually wide receiver 16 on the year so far.
And that's with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback, and with Andrew Luck, it's only going to get better. And he's done it year in, year out for the last 3 or 4 years with Luck there. So once Luck gets back, Ty is going to take off, and he just had a terrible game this week. He wasn't even targeted. Me and Steve talked about this. He wasn't targeted at all. We had 4 targets in the game.
Yeah.
Like, this is the perfect time to go buy low on T.Y. Hilton because his owner is probably so frustrated right now.
Yeah, you're not lying. I agree. Of those 3 guys, I also agree. I think not knowing the Zeke situation and whether he's going to be suspended the rest of the year, T.Y. would be the guy that I go for. Mixon, I like Mixon. The problem, like Kev said, is we're not really sure usage, and you can't relegate usage on a team. So, if Zeke plays rest of season, Zeke will be the guy that I want of that list. But not knowing that yet, and having that overshadowing him, Ty in that list is the guy that I want.
Totally agree.
All right, so the next guy I want to talk about is Marshawn Lynch. We've been banging the drum for Marshawn Lynch, and I think I finally have given up. Just watching this game completely demoralized me. So I wrote down a stat here because I want people to realize what happened this weekend. So San Diego is the 32nd ranked rush defense in the NFL. They're giving up 190 yards to opposing running backs this season going into this game. I don't know if you guys realize how much 190 yards of rushing per game is.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. That is old Saints bad. That is, Saints from 2 years ago bad. The worst defense in football bad. And Marshawn Lynch only got, I think it was 12 carries for 69 yards. It's not his fault why I'm giving up on him. It is 100%.
It almost feels like he's a mascot.
Yes.
Like an Oakland mascot. Like, I just wanted to come onto the team to play for Oakland. Like, it doesn't seem like he's actually, he don't look as hungry as he did when he was with Seattle, and running people over like crazy. So, I mean, I don't know. I am with you. I'm totally out on Marshawn. He hasn't looked very good at all, and he's not really getting a whole lot of workload.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's not getting the work. He had 13 for 63 against the worst rush defense in football. In this game, I really was telling everybody, I was kind of scared of Marshawn this weekend. Because Jalen Richard has started to look better, and Marshawn Lynch is not getting the work. If Marshawn Lynch is a 20-carry back, if you're not going to give the guy 20 carries, then he's just not going to do it for you.
100%.
Yeah, so, if that's the case...
You got to feed the beast.
Exactly, you got to feed him, and he's not being fed. So, sorry, guys, but I'm giving up on Marshawn.
Totally agree there with you. I'm going to talk about a few guys right now. It's kind of a tough situation because you're not going to be able to do anything. You kind of already went into Randall Cobb, but, I'll talk about Jordy and Nelson and Devontae Adams. Both of those guys are – if you could sell and get some value for them, it'd probably be a good idea. I just don't know what value you're going to get for them at this point. They're both top – Jordy's a top 10, and Devontae's a top 15 if Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback. But with Brett Hundley coming in, the last time Jordy Nelson was without Aaron Rodgers, he was pretty horrible. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Devontae Adams being the second receiver is going to be that much better either. So, if you were able to sell those guys, What do you think would be a good price level for them, Steve?
Honestly,
given the situation,
yeah, I would try to sell them just on name value. I wouldn't take anything for them because where you drafted them. You probably drafted Jordy, really high in the second round, maybe even the first round, and Devontae you probably got in the third or fourth round. So value wise, I don't know if you're going to get what you want. But they are guys that I would package because of name. You know what I mean? If you want to package like a Jerick McKinnon and a Jordy Nelson and try to get Julio, that's something I would try. Just see what you can get. Do a 2-for-1 and add those guys. The big names help, and see what you can get. If honestly, that's the way I would try to work it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Matt. Throw a sell high guy in there with a. Throw a sell high guy like McKinnon or Mark Ingram in there, and hopefully you can get some good value that would get you back like probably a good wide receiver that can take over for what they did. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna go over the rest of my buy guys, and then there's 3 people that I want to talk about on this list. So C.J. Anderson, we all saw the game. He played terrible, but he's a guy that I want on my team rest of season. I like his schedule, and
his schedule's really good.
Yeah, I like his schedule, and he had a bad game, so you could probably get him for donuts right now. Watson, we all seen what Watson's doing. He's on a bye, and I tell you guys, try to get guys on bye weeks. So if you can get Deshaun Watson this week. Throw some things in there and try to get him. If you're an Aaron Rodgers owner that lost A-Rod, see what you can do to get him. Tevin Coleman is my last one. And then the 3 guys that I want to talk about after that. But Tevin Coleman, love his schedule rest of season, and his usage has been pretty good. He's right now running back 28. But, he's playing better and better every single week. So, and he seems to be the goal line guy, which I don't understand. But when they get down there, he seems to be the guy they want to give the ball to. So if that's the case, I'm buying on Tevin. If somebody's going to, if you can package him in and try to throw him at the tail end of a deal, just say, yeah, give me this guy. Just as filler, just people aren't paying attention and they want to sell him. I would try that.
Totally agree.
All right, totally agree. 3 guys that I want to talk about. One is a buy, one is a sell, and one is a drop. My drop is Terrell Pryor. If you're in a 10-team league, I don't see why you're holding on to Terrell Pryor any further. He's not doing anything. He's not getting targets. He's not catching balls. He's not going deep. He's not doing anything that you paid for as a third-round pick, and sometimes you just got to cut your losses. We're at week 7, people, so if you're holding on to this guy still in, 10-team leagues, maybe even 12-team leagues, I think you're just wasting a roster spot at this point.
Me personally, I wouldn't give up yet. I'm not saying that I would be I'm definitely not starting him at this point. He's not in my starting lineup. I actually have him in a 10-team league, but I don't think I'm getting rid of him at this point. I still want to hang on just in case they do turn it around. We talked before about Cousins and how as the season goes on, Cousins kind of gets better and as he develops a little more chemistry. So I probably would wait another week, maybe even 2 on Pryor because of his talent level. But I'm with you. I'm not starting him until I see something.
I hear that. So the next guy here is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, I'm selling. If you watched what Derrick Henry has really been doing all season, he has not been consistent at all. This is the
not
first,
at all.
Yeah, he's been so up and down, and he's the quintessential sell guy. Went over 130 yards rushing, had a touchdown. Anybody who really didn't watch that game wouldn't know that he had a 65-yard touchdown at the end of the game to really pad his stats. So his game stats make it look like he might be starting to take over that role, and I don't see that as the case. So if you can sell him right now, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think what the deal kind of is there is that Murray's still kind of hampering on that hamstring injury. He was coming in and out. He wasn't really. Henry actually got a bigger workload, but I like Murray more rest of season because he actually just looks like the better running back. If you watch the games, if you look at the stat line doesn't say that. But the game film and watching it, Derrick Henry or DeMarco Murray looks better than Derrick Henry. I'm with you on that. If you can sell Derrick Henry, sell him.
Definitely. And the last guy I want to talk about, guys, this is my buy.
Real quick, but I would not sell him if I owned DeMarco Murray.
Yes, yeah, definitely not.
Okay, I would not sell him if I owned DeMarco Murray.
All right, so the last guy I want to talk about, guys, this is my buy low of the season. If you can get him, please do whatever you can to go get this guy. LeSean McCoy. If you can go out and get LeSean McCoy, please do yourself a favor and do that, because rest of season, I think Shady could finish as a top 3 running back in the league. I'm just going to read you his schedule. He just came off a bye week, so people are not really And the game before his bye week, he had 19 for 63. He still has only one 100-yard rushing game. He had 6 catches for 26 yards, so that padded his stats a little bit. But he really didn't, he really hasn't blown up at all this year. So the rest of season schedule for him is Tampa Bay this week at home, Oakland at home, the New York Jets in New York. Then he's got New Orleans, the Chargers, Kansas City. They're both away games. And he's got New England, Indianapolis, Miami, and New England again in your championship game. He plays New England twice in 4 weeks. Yeah, beautiful schedule. Yeah, it's a beautiful schedule. And, a guy that I can definitely see, with his high volume of usage, see him finishing as a top 3 running back rest of season. And if I can get him, I'm going all out to get him.
I love Shady, man.
I hear that.
Nothing more needs to be said. I love Shady. Shady, I loved him when he was in Philly, and now he just continued to have that same production, and he's a monster, and like you said, his schedule, his matchups are good. If you can go get Shady, go get Shady.
I hear that. All right, guys, so that's our podcast for tonight. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back on tomorrow. We're going to try to get in we're going to definitely get in our DFS lineups, and we're also going to try to get in our quarterback, tight end, and defense rankings. So we'll actually have 2 podcasts tomorrow. DFS real quick, give you our lineups, and then you're going to do another podcast for our quarterbacks, tight ends, and defenses of this week. So
sounds good.
You guys have a good rest of your week and enjoy, your fantasy seasons. Peace out, y'all.
All right, take it easy, everyone.